Happy Diwali to all the viewers of CNBC TV 18. The last year has been quite good for equity markets, but in general bad for many people in the economy and in the country. And we hope that next year is good, not just for the markets, but for everybody. And there's a better year ahead for everyone. I have with me Shankar Sharma and Madhu Kela, two guys who I know for more than 25 years. And because we are all passionate about markets, we have enjoyed talking through the years. And I hope that this passion will come through today. Both these guys need no introduction, and that is a big highlight because this program is only half an hour. And therefore, if we can save any time on introduction, that helps. So Madhu and Shankar, your mission today, should you choose to accept it, and you have limited choice, is that we want this program to be the biggest hit of CNBC TV 18 this year. Okay? So let me start with Shankar and start with easy softballs. Shankar, how much of your 100% net worth, financial net worth, is in equities, and how much of that is in India?
ये अब तो यार बड़ा टैक्स वाला सवाल पूछ रहे हो. इस तरह की चीजें हम बात नहीं कर सकते पब्लिकली. Okay. No, but you are also a non-resident Indian, so I'm sure you will have something which is close to mine. So India में है पैसे ठीक ठाक है. But I will be honest with you. I mean, most of the
percentage. I'm not interested in that percentage.
I agree. I'm talking about the percentages. So broadly, it has still been more international than in India. But I mean, that doesn't express a very strong view against India or anything of that sort. It's simply that there have been better opportunities. As a non-resident, you have those luxuries, just as you do, Samir. Baki within the overall pie chart, at least in our, or at least my personal sort of net worth part of it, it is still quite diversified because it's not only equity. So I will have a gold, and we had oil till a few weeks back, and we have fixed income as well, substantial fixed income also. So ऐसा नहीं कि खाली it's an all equity bet by any standards.
Okay. Madhu, because I'll have to keep it tight because there are some 20 questions I have. So Madhu, do you invest internationally?
No, I don't have that luxury, except that small LRS money which I have. I don't invest internationally.
You don't invest internationally. And no. What about equity versus debt? How much do you have in equities?
Samir bhai, most of it is equity only. We don't understand anything else. So, जो समझते हैं उसी को ठीक करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
So, what do you say? 80%, 100%? I'll tell you mine first if you want. So, I'll have 80% in equities, 10% in gold, 10% debt, and of the 80 equity, 1/3 India, 2/3 outside India.
So, you can say mine will be 80-85% equity and 10-15% fixed income or liquid, which also we keep only looking for opportunity. कभी कुछ मिल जाए loose ball, तो उस दिन cash ना create करना पड़े.
So how many stocks do you own?
I think are quite diversified, Samir bhai. Over a period of time, maybe I don't have an exact count of number of companies which I own, but it will be more than 25-30 companies.
And biggest weightage will be how much percent?
Biggest weightage will be maybe 10%, 15%, 10-12%.
And this is in listed stocks mostly, I would think.
Yeah, mostly listed. But I do invest some in private companies and some in startup as well.
Okay. So generally, with this background, we all know your successes, and we'll come to a little bit of DV. And for Shankar, we still don't know is it Himachal or global. But the question before that is, because we want to make this program a bit different, tell me, starting maybe with Shankar, some stock where you lost either 40-50%, or you saw somebody losing 40-50% and you were somehow able to sort of write on it or warn the world about it. So give some gory names, how you lost, and what was the issue? Was it debt? Was it cheating? Any stock that you may like to talk about?
So, I mean, obviously, I think all of us have lost more than 50% in many investments throughout our lives. So,
question is कि गलती हुई कि policy हो गया कि government का हो गया कि black swan हो गया, how?
उस तरह की चीजें नहीं हुई. See, whenever you have lost, at least whenever I have lost 50%, I have gone in it with my eyes open. So it has never happened that I thought it was going to be a great stock and it turned out to be a dog. I would have bought thinking it is, knowing it's a dog, but it will change its colors and change its stripes and it will become better and governance आ जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, लेकिन वो नहीं हुआ. और वो स्टॉक डूब गया. So I have no, it's not like कि कोई बड़ा जजमेंट का एरर हो गया था हमारा.
हमें जनरल कॉन्वर्सेशन नहीं कर रहे हैं, हमें स्पेसिफिक चाहिए नेम.
तो स्पेसिफिक में तो सर for example, some infra names that we bought after 2015 कि में जब डाउन हो गए 90% डाउन के बाद हमने कहा कि चलो अब इनमें हो सकता है डेट की रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग हो जाएगी. So there is an upside, but we understand this. You have gone into it with your eyes open. कि बहुत सेक्टर थर्ड क्लास है, सब चीज खराब है, but is there an opportunity there? Because similarly we have done other trades which have worked very well, but in this case it didn't work because of certain. Okay, so to answer your question, certain policy changes happened. पहले CDR के mechanism के बाद अब ये जो OTS आ गया, but banks became very very cagey after 2014 because of CBI and all those things. So settlement जो साल भर में होता था वो 5-5 साल नहीं होने लगे, तो कंपनियां बीच में बैठ गई. So that's okay. I mean, I have no problem in losing money of 50-70% in those trades. But only thing is that you're not putting so much in that it is going to wipe you out.
So that means how many stocks do you own when you own in India?
You mean overall?
Yeah, number of stocks so that we can guess the way.
India or globally अगर मिला लें तो I think not less than 150 stocks.
So 150 stocks.
150.
That'd be a good thing for our guys who think their money is made only by buying 10 stocks.
No, in fact, my experience and our experience as a firm over a lot of data and a lot of analysis is that कि यार कोई मतलब नहीं बनता 10 stock लेने का, because there is so much opportunity in this world. Why should you make it just a 10 stock portfolio? In fact, you can reduce risk and not sacrifice gains by actually, I'm not saying blindly, but smartly diversifying gives you a lot of benefits, no doubt about it. So I own, at least I think हो सकता है 125 होंगे, but it's a lot. Quite a lot.
Madhu, tell me some stock where you lost and you got angry or you got upset, or maybe you just lost, because the thing is people feel that there are only sure baggers in life and therefore they want to put 10% in a name. And I have been trying to educate the world that there is so much uncertainty in life that people who are much more clued in, people like you and maybe me who are professional investors, even they make so many mistakes. And therefore the cost of that mistake has to be reduced by putting less per name.
So, Samir bhai, I'll give you 2-3 examples, not one, because in my life, there are a lot. I have the distinction of losing money in many more companies.
Shankar can give a specific name after.
Yeah, Shankar is much more smarter than me, so he may have lost less than what I did. Fortunately, we made much more money where we went right, so it has worked out well. So, Samir bhai, I'll give you one distinct example. When I used to be a broker working with Motilal Oswal, I put all my hard-earned money, I don't want to get name, in 2 companies. One was a private sector bank, and another was a little known company. It was really hard-earned money. I used to be a broker, if you remember those days. So it was, by those days, we didn't have the experience of losing money. So I used to know someone very, very closely in this private sector bank, and you will not believe the stock price of this private sector bank fell by 90% with no real visible change in fundamentals. So much happened that the absolute market cap of the bank fell to 22 crores only.
So now
only 22 crores.
Sponsor bank.
It was Federal Bank. Let's just say So I'm just saying that but one of the characteristics why I lost money, because you invariably ended up trusting the stories with the promoters or the person who on the other side of the table are telling you, because they will, not necessarily all of them were frauds or cheats or they wanted you to lose money. But generally, people are very optimistic when they are talking to people, specifically if you are a promoter or a senior person. Generally, you are very optimistic. The other thing that, maybe I was careless, but I should have been much, much more on top of the subject than I was in those days. So, when the results are coming, you're not even...
Second name you were giving.
So, second name, I don't want to give a name, but I just tell you it was a shipping company. This happened recently, maybe 2 years back, 3 years.
Shipping companies, I thought ये हमने 90s में छोड़ दी सब चीजें.
नहीं, it was a shipping company. Again, हमने तो छोड़ दी थी सर, पर वो नहीं छोड़ते हैं ना. So, we still trusted the guy. Every quarter, नहीं ये quarter हो जाएगा जी, अगले quarter हो जाएगा जी, अगले quarter हो जाएगा. But at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily blaming anyone.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that we should go with our eyes open, do our homework properly, and before you lose big money, my experience is the writing is clear on the wall. You can see it that you are hoping against the hope.
So when the stock fell 90%, it must have first fallen, say, 50%.
Absolutely.
But you did more.
Sometimes you are in a denial. Maybe it is a small portion of your portfolio, so your mind says it doesn't matter. कुछ ना कुछ तो हो जाएगा, ठीक है, value बहुत है. But finally, those things don't work.
Okay, Shankar, you still want to give a name, or should we move on?
आ जाएगा नाम सर, आगे बढ़ो.
चलो अब let's talk about one or two successes, then we'll come to the question we have from Twitter world. So, which is your biggest success? Is it really Divi's, or there's something bigger than that, Madhu?
I think, Samvat, there are quite a few of them. This is, of course, the most visible. I would say we were very early investors in Siemens, very, very early investors in...
The biggest, like one big name.
Obviously, Divi is one thing which I'm really, really proud of. Forget whether I may have made more money in something else, but Divi is one thing which I'm really proud of, that we could catch it very, very early.
So when it was falling, you were personally holding it throughout?
Yes, of course.
And so in between it fell a lot, right? I think 50%.
Yeah, it did. It did fail by 75%.
75%.
One point of time, it felt like 2 years back, the Divi's market cap had fallen to 15,000 crores. And let me tell you, every pharmaceutical analyst and every expert was telling me that, how it is a big US FDA problem and why there is some integrity issue. See, this is the point. When you know the promoter, when you know the company really well, you know that it is something they will solve. And that is what keeps you, keeps you invested in those kind of tough times. And from there, it has been a 7-bagger in 2 years.
But the good thing is that you are saying today that your biggest holding is around 10%.
Yeah.
So that means you basically own only 2-3%. Rest, if the market goes up, it gives you the returns, which is what I think.
No. What I'm saying is the biggest holding is more than 10%. Let me not get into exact number here. But I am far more concentrated than what Shankar is, and that's been my style. Whichever company I like, we will put a significant portion. I put a significant portion of the money.
Okay. Shankar, one guy on Twitter asked me, he said, like Madhu is known for Divi and Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is known for Titan. Which stock do you want to be known for? This is Ritesh on Twitter asking this question.
I mean, the trades I've been proudest of, are Himachal and Global in 98, 99.
To be remembered for it. So
yes. So, you have also made a lot of money in it, Sameer. Yeah. So the point I always come back to this is only that. The reason why I mentioned these is that कि अब hindsight में सब बोलेंगे ये था वो था, but you remember that time it had 40% FII holding, limit up, and everybody from Alliance Capital to Oppenheimer to Fidelity, everybody used to own it. Goldman Sachs put it as top Asia 5 buy list. ऐसा कुछ कोई list होता है उनका.
I made 15 times or so.
Yes, exactly. So the point is that my view is कि share कोई अच्छा बुरा नहीं होता, उसका time अच्छा होता है, उसका time बुरा होता है. तो हमने अच्छे time में उन सब share में लिया. मुझे कोई qualm नहीं है to say that we didn't participate. We participated fully, but the point is you should know when to sell. See, you should not start believing in it. All these promoters I have known for 25 years. But the stock is a different thing altogether.
For example, I remember we sold it in Feb 2001 ki 2000? 2001.
2000, sir. 2000.
No, 2001.
Yes, sir. No. Sir, मैंने आपका trade लिखा यार.
No, I was thinking it was 1400 or something because I remember that.
Sir, 1000 रुपए पे QIP किया था. It became 2000. And I told everybody who cared to listen कि आप बेच दो यार, ये top of bull market है, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता 2 हफ्ते में शेयर डबल हो जाता है.
So one more question of mine before we go to the Twitter questions. So Shankar, how many hours have you spent or days not looking at a market? Like, what is the longest period you have passed where you didn't know what the market was doing, either Indian or US? How many hours, not or days?
In a flight, I think.
Same for you?
Same for me. I think it's much more. I think whenever I go to even London, I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the market because markets are open.
उसके बाद फिर सो सकते हैं, लेकिन
उसके बाद फिर सो सकते हैं, पर market तो देखना ही है.
Everybody is same. Yeah. Okay. Now let me go to questions which are on Twitter. No, but before that, for Madhu, since everybody, when I ask, I want to ask questions to you guys, they ask me for Madhu से पूछना है कि Divis का next क्या gift मिलेगा उनको, तो please give them some gift यार, Diwali gift.
मैं Divis का gift मिलेगा means I didn't get it.
Next idea which they all want. They all ask me to ask you this question. I'm not naming because there's so many people who ask the same question.
I wish I had the answer, Samir bhai. I think the life will be much more easier. But see, again, I'm not recommending anyone. People need to do their own homework. But it's a public knowledge that we have put a significant stake in Laurus Lab, and I'm very helpful about this company.
And overall in pharma, how many stocks do you own then? Quite a few.
I own quite a few.
And taking in pharma would be much of this 35.
Will be significant.
So that's a sectoral bet.
Yeah, it's a sectoral bet.
Shankar, do you have any? We are talking about India only now because nobody's really, investing enough in US or can. So in India, do you have any sector preferences?
Sir, that sector preference is hurting us today, big time.
Which is
I mean, as in that we don't have the financials, and that is why we are having this webinar on a very, very bad day. Because the laggards have rallied, which means that the ones that we own are doing very badly today. They're doing terribly today. I don't even want to look at it. अच्छा हो रहा है कि आपसे बात हो रही है, वरना तो और depression हो जाता. But the fact is that we have owned the good ones that have done very well in this entire year. We have generally avoided the ones which have been hit by the COVID. So sectoral preferences remain in India very limited in that sense.
One fellow called VVS wants to ask you, Shankar, then do you decide or Devina decides?
So this is if you're talking personal investing or fund investing.
Stock investing. Do you both have to agree?
No. So on the fund basis, not just the two of us, we have about 7 people who have to ultimately agree. We might have a veto. That's a different thing. But personal investing में sir, क्या है कि अगर 100-150 स्टॉक है ना, तो इतना टेंशन नहीं किसी चीज के ऊपर. इट्स मेक और ब्रेक फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट. बट वन थिंग आई वांट टू जस्ट टेल people and the people watching it ki over time, over let's say 10-12 years, the only thing I have found better in me as an investor is my ability to manage risk. तो अब मैं वो नहीं 50% डाउन वाली चीज देखने को राजी नहीं हूँ बॉस. वो 25-30 में तो निकल ही जाना है, चाहे वो भगवान की कंपनी क्यों ना हो. इट्स वेरी सिंपल. And I have no problem buying it back 50% higher too.
Okay, it's time for a break and we'll be back soon. Stay right there. Welcome back. We'll resume our conversation with Shankar Sharma and Madhu Kela. Madhu, one guy called Gopal Krishna, he wants to ask, what is the agricultural opportunity in India? Is there, first of all, an agricultural opportunity? I mean, investing in agricultural sector. What is the story? If any.
See, there will be, because of the reform which has happened, Samir bhai, this sector will have a lot of opportunity because I come from a small village. So I can relate, what is the meaning of freely transporting goods from A place to B place in India. So over a period of time, it will open a lot of opportunity. Maybe we are still away from that time because, it still has to play out. So there will be opportunity in agrochemical space.
Rather than a small picture, you mean?
That's right.
It's more a macro issue.
The macro issue, and it will benefit quite a few companies, in my view.
Okay, this guy Rajesh Bheda wants to ask both of you, and I think me also in that sense, because even I can theoretically answer. The fact that Trump has lost and Biden has won, does it change anything from a stock point of view?
I think Shankar will have a better view. Let's start from you.
So, of all the times that we have seen, in all of us, 25, 30 years, last week was amongst the trickiest, right? That preceding month was a down month, and last week was a huge up week, and yesterday was a wipeout. If you saw the screen yesterday, minus 20% was like common. It was across the board. So, in my view, markets in America at least were poised for some degree of a pullback. You can look for an excuse to say Biden won or whatever, but in my view, 50-60% one way up rally, and that includes India also, by the way. I'm not excluding that. You automatically should be prepared for a severe pullback. It might not be a 50% pullback, but definitely 10-20%. I think you are going to see that across the world, because I have rarely seen markets just go one way, 50, 70, 60% with no pullback, zero.
But now, two factors have combined. One is the vaccine and one is the change of president. So
Correct.
For vaccine, of course, today is very violent. But would you change anything for this, or you say, okay, one day affair and then life moves to the same stocks that you had or not had?
I do think some things have changed. Okay. And we were anyway very, very cautious on, let's say US in particular last couple of months. So, we had really cut back a bit on that. So yesterday thing was damaging, but not as much as what it would have happened 2 months back. I think in some part you will see the trade change back to emerging markets rather than just being a one-way US bet that we have seen for the last 10 years.
So Madhu, the fact that this bull run started with pharma because of COVID, अब अगर कोविड की प्रॉब्लम खत्म हो रही है, does it make it less interesting or it's not really connected?
I think that's a little bit of misnomer, right? It may have given a little bit of gravy in terms of 1 or 2 quarter results. The pharma companies existed much before COVID problem, and they will exist much after the COVID problem. So, I want to talk about 2 issues in case if you don't get to ask. Yes. A, where the interest rates are, it has become very fashionable to talk about debt-free companies and debt-free individuals. In fact, I am now looking for companies which have reasonable amount of debt, because if you don't borrow money at 6 or 7%, if you're getting a 3 or 5 year money at 6-7%, why every company is starting with saying that we have reduced our debt by these many crores? That is the first starting statement in every result, every conference call. So I am not for that at all right now. I think, if you are leveraged to some extent, it is fine. If you don't borrow money at 6-7%. And this is the biggest thing, in my opinion, that an individual like me have offers to borrow money at 6.5% against my portfolio, right? And you have so many companies offering dividend yields. So if we don't get into too much of macro analysis, I am extremely positive. Let me underline. Extremely positive on select companies which are mid-cap, which have been neglected, which have seen prices much more damage than what we would have normally seen because of COVID.
These days, I'm keeping an eye on the clock also, and I think time is out, but I still have 2 good questions. They can edit us later. So one is a question from Inderpreet Sethi. Is PE important anymore or not? Mr. Shankar, you can answer this. And they're talking about PE, don't say ROC and all these words which these new boys are talking.
It's बहुत simple सी बात है. PE is important only in extreme situations. So in the middle, there is no justification that you can rationally give कि वो 20 time is good and 25 is bad, or 35 is good and 40 is bad, and वो सब नहीं होता. But if you're looking at 80, 90, 100, in general, broadly speaking, broad, मैं मोटा बोल रहा हूँ, it is considered overvalued. And on the other hand, if something is 5, it doesn't mean necessarily it is good, but you should at least start to watch it. But in the middle, there is a wide play available in which you can go totally horrifyingly wrong, doing value investing and buying cheap and selling expensive. वो सब चीजें, they don't work. Particularly in the last 10, 12 years, you've seen it has been a total disaster. And I doubt if that is going to change. So PEs work only in extreme situations, not in the big body of the middle.
Madhu, similar for you, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's an indicator, it's an important indicator, but I would look at more ROE and cash flows rather than only PE. So you have to look at it in conjunction You can't look at it in an absolute basis.
The question is because now the P's of some stocks have gone up every year, year after year. So there must be some point at
पर
which.
अभी नहीं चलता है ना समीर भाई, 1.5 साल से नहीं चल रहा है ना.
अच्छा जी, आशीष जलान का लास्ट क्वेश्चन है, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग. फर्स्ट विल आस्क शंकर शर्मा, what will make you bullish on India?
We are bullish on India, yeah. We are 98% invested. 98% invested. अब और क्या मतलब थोड़े leverage लेके ले लेंगे. लेकिन we are bullish on the stocks we own and we are bearish on the stocks that we don't own. But unfortunately today exactly those stocks have gone up, so I'm not in a good mood.
Okay. Last question for Madhu. What will make you bearish on India? From the same guy. He's asking. What factor will make you bearish just like Shankar? They think is not easily bullish.
So I am not easily bearish. He's rightly identified and you have rightly asked. So Samvat bhai, sometimes I worry about this increasing compliance. There are so many laws which have come. There is some Benami Act, there is this act, there is GAR, there is this, that. So increasingly life should not become very difficult for entrepreneurs to operate, It should not happen कि notices के ऊपर notices आ रहे हैं. I am sure, the entire machinery is working and we are trying to make it easy to do business in India, and appropriately it will get addressed. So that is one thing which actually, worries me a little bit.
Right. Okay. Okay. I think time is out, so you guys can wish Happy Diwali to the CNBC viewers. I've already done so.
Wishing very, very happy Diwali to Samvat bhai, Shankar and all the viewers of CNBC. Have a fabulous year ahead. Make lots of money.
Okay, Shankar.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Madhu. As always, real pleasure to catch up with you guys. And a very, very, very happy and prosperous Diwali to all the viewers of CNBC TV 18. And, invest safely, diversify carefully. Don't start thinking that you are going to start investing like Warren Buffett or Madhu Kela. Do a lot of work, but don't put more than 10%, right, Madhu, into a single stock. That's the message that you should take away in this particular episode of Samir. And I think Samir has got a great future anyway as an anchor. This is the second one I'm doing with him. So hey, have a great Diwali, guys.
The anchor, we were together in that. Thank you very much, everybody. Best of luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you.